Hey everyone, I wanted to come on and do a video. I was in the mood, but not necessarily in the mood to prepare anything specific. So I thought I would just quickly show you the decks that have come into my possession recently since the end of last year. These are all decks that I do not believe I have ever shown or talked about on my channel. And all except one are lovely gifts from people. The one is a trade. So I haven't purchased a deck yet in 2021. I have lovely new decks to play with and experiment with. So I've been trying to be better about the whole compulsive purchasing of decks and other things. So I will start with the deck that I received as a Christmas present from my sister. This was on my wish list, and it is the Tarot of the Cat People. And I also asked her to get me the companion book, which I believe is out of print. I'm sorry, although this wasn't hard for me to track down, so I'm wondering if you could easily find a copy. But this comes with its own little white book. It's from US Games, and I saw this deck on both Mixtress Ray and Allie's channels. Allison Bright from Determined to Shine. And there was just something so intriguing about this deck. I loved the aesthetic. There are cats. I mean, come on, I am a cat person. But as y'all know, I'm not necessarily someone who loves like purely animal decks. And this deck has people in them. So I wanted to, I thought about it for a while, and then I decided to put it on my wish list. And so I've got to say, and I plan on doing a review of this deck, I love it. I really love it. It's unique and it's eccentric, and it's just got a personality of its own. And yeah, I've been having a great time with this deck. So that is Tarot of the Cat People. And also, like, it's a bit smaller, I want to say, than a standard size tarot deck. And it's so bendy. I love it. I can shuffle this without a problem. You don't understand how much that means to me when that happens, when a deck will not give me any trouble with the shuffling. And then let's see here. So the next deck I want to say that came into my deck library is, I think it's this one, the Mystic Mondays Tarot. And this was a trade that I did at the very beginning of the year. And so when I received this deck, I had totally forgotten how thick it was, or maybe I never knew, but it was super thick. This cardstock feels almost like cardboard. It doesn't feel like it has a core. And so I didn't even attempt to riffle shuffle this. I knew I wouldn't be able to. I knew I would bend the cards, and it was just too thick for me anyway. And so I initially thought, okay, this is not going to work out at all. I'm going to have to just rehome this deck. But then I decided, I can try to decrease the size of the deck and just maybe practice with the overhand shuffling, because this cardstock is slippery enough that I could do that. So what I did was I sanded off the holographic edging, scandal, and then I chopped off maybe like an inch from the top and re-edged in black. So the front, the design is not completely centered, and that's fine with me. I still think it looks great. And just been practicing my overhand shuffling, Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And I have been using this deck, and I've really been enjoying it. This is definitely my aesthetic, you know, the bold colors and this kind of clean, I guess like vectorized imagery, for lack of a better term. It's pip-like in nature for the minors. And it's just been a really seamless reader for me. So I'm glad I didn't give up on this deck and just cast it aside so quickly, and found a workaround for how to shuffle this deck. But it is definitely a chunky monkey. So that is the Mystic Mondays Tarot, the mass market edition. And then next up is the Green Witch Tarot, which was a gift from a lovely friend. Thank you. You know who you are. Love you so much. And it was a complete surprise. I have been hemming and hawing about this deck for, I want to say, like the last year or so. Many of you know that the Everyday Witch is one of my ride or die decks. And so I wasn't sure whether this would be kind of too similar to the Everyday Witch. I know that many have said no, they're so different, but I also did not want, I didn't want any deck comparing with my, like competing with my girl, you know? I didn't want that scenario. And so I held off and then received this as a surprise. And as you can see, it's still in order because I haven't worked with it yet. I have been making my way through the guidebook, and just by reading that guidebook, I can already tell that this is such a different vibe from the Everyday Witch. So I don't have any concerns about them competing for my affection, you know. So I'm really looking forward to actually diving into this deck. Feels very pagan, very earthy, and this is really beautiful. So there is the Green Witch Tarot, and I love the backs. I know people complain about this back, saying it looks very Christmassy, but I don't really think so. I love it. Okay, and then finally, this was a deck that Matt surprised me with for Valentine's Day, which we don't celebrate Valentine's Day, so I felt like a dick for not having anything for him. But this is the first deck that he's ever bought for me, you know, without knowing that it's one I was interested in. He was totally taking a gamble with this deck in hopes that I didn't have it, in hopes that I would like it. So, and he bought it from a local witchy shop, which is nice to support a local business. But this is the Black Cats Tarot. It's a Los Scarabeo deck. You know, cats. He saw cats, he thought of me. He liked the look of the tuck box and a couple of the images that were on the back, I guess. This one, so normally I would say, okay, well, these cats are kind of anthropomorphized, not kind of, they are. They're like walking on their hind legs. They're able to hold swords and, you know, very kind of human-like qualities. And yet, I think it helps that they're not also in clothes. And it's, again, got this very unique vibe to it. I have worked with it a few times, and I you know, not having any expectations of it, I've found that I'm liking it, actually. They're like, I don't know, they're just eccentric looking. I can't even describe it, but yeah, black cats. You can't go wrong with black cats, right? And the fact that this was a very thoughtful gift, that Matt picked out all on his own. That obviously adds meaning to this deck. And so it's just, I don't know how to describe it. It's weird, but like in a good way. So yeah, that's the Black Cats Tarot. And I also love the backs. And I think that's it. So those are the decks that I've been kind of playing around with or look forward to working with. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any of these decks and your experiences with them. And I will talk to you soon. Take care.